I'm going to get started. Good morning and welcome everyone to today's webinar of OneSignal. Today's topic is going to be around boosting your in-app messaging strategy with us. I'm Claudio Benedikter. I'm a solutions engineer based out of the London office and covering the entire EMEA region. My day-to-day, I work with our largest enterprise customers and prospects to help them understand and get the most out of our solution and our product. Today, we're going to be speaking first about the topic of in-app messaging for a few very good reasons. One, in-app messaging as itself is a very high engagement communication channel. Our clients have realized upwards of 35% engagement, which is significantly higher than push notification and email. So that itself as a communication engagement channel is a very good tool to have in your bag or mix of channels. The second reason why in-app messaging is fantastic or a great communication channel to use with OneSignal is that it is very easy, it's lightweight, or in a way, codeless. Your marketing or product team do not have any or will not have any reliance on development or engineering to get started. It's as simple as having our SDK installed. Even if you're with us today and you're doing push notifications, you can start straight away doing the in-app messaging. You can get going from day one. The third and of many reasons that we want to speak about in-app messaging today is that it is a great way to increase conversion or number of sales. And this is what I will be digging into deeper today by the form of a demonstration for you. I must stress that in-app messaging has realized a lot of value, especially in terms of conversions with our clients. Case studies have been posted amongst our clients such as Shake Shack, Stadium Goods, or Better Me, who all operate in different industries. So as the introduction, I'm going to have one slide to present today, just to set the scene of what we're going to be doing for the webinar, or the story. Outside a bit of an intro to the application and finishing, the main part is going to be put into three distinct pieces. We're going to have a little bit of a story. First, I'm going to create an in-app message to capture our user preferences. We call this intelligence gathering. We understand more around what our users or customers like or what they might not like by the form of an in-app message. I will show you an example of this. Second, having now in this fictitious example capture the preferences of our users, I will now create a segment and separating those who have this particular preference, which sets me up for success on the third step, which is the second in-app message aimed at a very particular segment or sub-segment who we have their preferences captured already to send them a very relevant and timely offer. This here is essentially where we're looking to get it across the finishing line. Here it's very important that we get the conversion in place. And we've set ourselves up for success at this point. In the scenario for today's webinar, I will assume that I am an online e-commerce retailer, and I specialize in selling goods aimed at gifts or occasions. So let's hop into the live demonstration, shall we? First and foremost, just a bit of an introduction into the OneSignal application and in-app messaging. Why do we do this? This is my application, OneSignal. I'm currently in the in-app under the messaging. I wanted to show off this here because in-app messages has a lot more uses than outside of what we're talking today, right? Which is boosting your strategy about increasing sales or conversions. Other use cases are to capture permissions, is to have an onboarding flow per se. In this example here, I have a template that OneSignal has given to me, and you, when you start with us, you have a template straight away so you can capture this. This template here is about capturing a push permission. If you think about a different channel of push, permission is required on all iOS devices in order to send and push. So this message here has a couple of good purposes. One is that it warms up users before they're having a native prompt of whether or not they would like to receive notifications from the application. And second, this is a very great and convenient way to increase the number of users or customers or subscribers that you can engage with there, because you're obviously bringing in and capturing more valid permission. One of the central features of today's demonstrations will lie in the form of what we call click actions. Click actions is essentially anything that happens as soon as I click on any of the objects in the message. This message here, it's got text, it's got images and buttons. Let's have a look at the first two buttons. Asking you, would you like to get notifications, enable the permissions? I've got two options, to allow and maybe later. How do I enable this very easily from a non-technical perspective? Well, the click action is available in each element. The first button is here to allow. So of course, if my users now have given me permission, they're happy for me to send them notifications, we need the click action, and I'm going to choose the drop-down list to push permission prompt amongst the others, which we're going to get into, of course. And at that point, the change has been live. All I need to do is update the message, and the changes have been done. That is as easy as it is to, let's say, deploy a template. This is a pre-built template already, to make it live and start sending it to users and capturing the permissions. So that sets the scene of what we're going to be speaking around mostly for today, which is increasing the conversions, and I've got the 3-point story here. Let's go into the next example. Next example here is first example is the first message. I need to capture preferences, or I want to capture user preferences. And just to remind you, I am, in this fictitious example, I am an online e-commerce retailer, and I specialize in selling gifts or occasional gifts. So the message is quite straightforward. Who would you like to find gifts for next? And I've got a couple of options in here. So just to demonstrate to you how easy it is to use, again, the in-app messaging builder from a non-technical perspective, let's go through this. These here are the elements of the message itself. This is drag and drop, so I can rearrange the order any way that I wish to. I can choose the way that the message is being rendered. At the moment, it is taking up the full screen. There's a with margin or without margin. My preference would be to have it perhaps without margin. This takes up the entire space. But the message itself is also a little bit bland right now. It's got a bit of a text, it's got a background, it's got a few buttons. So one thing that we recommend and our customers very much leverage is that they upload their creatives that they have built and use that to personalize or to really align their message to their branding without getting into editing any HTML, so to speak. So what I will do is just choose up the background. I've done a little bit of homework prior to the session here, so I'm going to upload a message image created previously and upload it. What I'm doing here is uploading an image from my computer, but there's other ways, of course, to get my creatives or content into the in-app message. And that's now being uploaded. I think the message looks a bit better now. It looks a bit more personal and a bit more to the occasion. So this is the message. This is about me capturing the user preferences. I've got a question, I've got a creative, and got a few options here. But let's go back into the click actions, because this is really important. The way we need to set ourselves up for success is we need to learn that if someone does click, hey, I'm looking to buy a gift for her or for him next, that we understand this and whether we get this. So the click actions would come in very handy in here. Let's have a look at the second button for him. Add a click action, and we're going to choose a tag user. Tagging a user is essentially adding a piece of data to any user that now clicks that particular button. I will do this all in a codeless way, of course, and I would like to organize it. So I will say, if somebody were to click on the button him, I want it to be tagged with the recipient key, and the value would be him, like so. Because if I were to click on, let's say, the button her, I'm going to have a slightly different tag. Again, along the lines of recipient, for example, but this time her. So I can easily distinguish. I can now easily create this segment based on, hey, what is your recipient? Is it her or for him? And of that, I can be sending very specific promotions and offers, which is all part of today's story. So that's the first part of the presentation here. Let's go into the next one. Having now shown you how to create the message, how to customize it, and what the click actions does here. The main thing to take away from this example is that it's a survey of type. I'm capturing preferences for the purpose of sending offers and increasing the sales. Second part now, let's just assume the message has been live, it's out there for a few days, and I've got some responses coming back in, and I can create a segment and target. We'll move on to the audience tab here, create a new segment. I will give this a name. Let's say campaign. It's always important, or one of my recommendations is to be very clear in your naming conventions across. When it is from tagging or the name of the campaigns, that they easily make sense, or they match in a way that it's not all over the place. And this is the reason why we've got, of course, the option to name segments as an example. I will start it very vague. I will say, I want to now create a segment because I want to target, let's say, my users who are looking for gifts for him. Because I've got offers, I've got new presents in stock, and I want to target only those who are looking to buy that, if you will. And not perhaps send the same message of offers around the collection of gifts for him if perhaps the users are more intending to buy gifts for somebody else in our fictitious example. So user tag will be recipient, just as I have written in before in the previous screen. I have written the tag recipient, and in this case, I will choose the recipient is for him. OneSignal is already great in telling me how large my audience is right now, or it's giving me an estimate of how many currently fit that criteria. I must stress that when you create an audience, it is fluid. Users go in and out of the audience at any time. This estimate here is helpful also in a way if the segment I'm creating is perhaps too specific. Do I have too many criteria filters in place? Do I need to broaden my search, or vice versa? Do I need to be more specific and add more filter so as not to have too large of an audience? So from that, I can create the segment, and that concludes the second part now. Again, first, we've created a message to capture preferences. Now we fast forwarded, we've got some preferences in place, and I'm going to set myself up for success by creating a segment aimed at a very specific preference that we have captured. Third is the conversion message itself. I have a different example loaded up here for today's webinar. Conversion message, of course, we need to be very particular in who we want to send it to. So always not send it to all users. So we're going to choose the segment I've created before here. So we know that this message, which is aimed at sending a promotion to a very particular topic or category of stock I have in place, is going to the right users, or to users who have actually actively expressed their interest that they're looking to buy a gift for him next in our example. So that's the first part of the way of who are we sending the message to has been ticked. And this is really, really important. And everything that I've shown you so far is around how do you determine who to send a message to in a very easy, in a very codeless way. And by means of the best practice as earlier. Here's the message itself. Slightly different alignment. Again, I have created a few different creatives. I've got my few different blocks in place. Again, it is drag and drop. I can rearrange the order of any blocks in here as I see fit. But this message is also very important because this is now going to be shown to, as we've established, to the right users. But we need to make sure that this message helps in a way. We have informed them that there's a coupon available for the purpose of obviously bringing in or having more sales in place. But what do we do when our users were to click on the message in here, further to the earlier demonstration around click actions as a meaningful way to boost your in-app messaging, is to say in this instance, to redeem the coupon is to add a direct link or deep linking. I do, of course, want to remove friction. If I, as a customer, receive this message in here and I've got a redeem coupon, I click that, it would be easier if within one screen the coupon is already applied and I can start shopping. Not that I have to do over an extra few steps or extra few screens in order to get the coupon, which might disencourage me. So the means of adding a click action to link me or to deep link me into a particular part here to save this is very important, and you have free to type in the right values. Another particular helpful click action would be to send an outcome. Sending an outcome now is after this event, after the messages have been sent, how do we know that they are resonating? How do we know what the statistics are like from a OneSignal perspective, from a dashboard perspective? We can marry this up. What we provide you with is we'll provide you how many impressions you've got, how many clicks you have, and who you've sent this to. The outcome would just be adding a missing link into the field to say, okay, these amount of people have now clicked on that button or have proceeded to, let's say, add the coupon in there, which is the outcome that I'm looking for. I want people to add a coupon to their basket so that they're going to buy. And these are a couple of further examples of click actions I have used in in-app messaging to make it easy for my customers to shop, but also for me to better measure the effectiveness of the messaging I have so far. Just to wrap up the example I've given to you, it was based again on 3 steps. First is the preferences. What do my users like? Now that I know this, second, I segment. I say, okay, I would like to look at the users who have the very particular preference over another, which leads me to the third point, which we're looking at here, is to send a message based at that particular preference. Really, we've set ourselves up to success all here. So let's just close it up by adding in the right click actions by means of having a right redirect URL, but also having, for as an example, the outcome. So when it comes to the post analysis, I see how effective everything was and where I need to make changes, if any. This example that I've demonstrated to you for today's webinar is one way to improve, of course, your messaging strategy. We've now looked at conversions, really looked at sales. But if we looked at it through the lens of an e-commerce or an online customer or client, so to speak. But this can be, of course, replicated across industries. Now we have clients in very different industries who are using in-app messaging for their very own purposes. Driving conversions can mean something different from e-commerce to a gaming company, or to a media or financial tech. In this example here, we're looking at the gaming, where the objective is to drive more in-app purchases. So again, the messages can be sent at the right time, at the right place. So this concludes the webinar for today. I hope you found that helpful. I'd like to pause for a second and give you, of course, the chance to type in any questions that you have in the text so I can answer them here and then. Okay, well, one question we have received is, OneSignal has launched the in-app carousel a few months ago. Is the setup feasible for non-technical teams? So yes, you're right. The in-app carousel has been launched a few months ago. The in-app carousel is essentially an in-app message that comprises of more than one screen or one card. We can support up to 10. Primary use case for that is for onboarding, as an example. And absolutely, it is very easy to set up and very geared towards the non-technical teams. As I've shown you here, I have in the editor itself created the messages. So there's no technical involvement at all. Okay, another question we have is, what are some use cases for the in-app surveys? So in-app surveys are great for collecting real-time feedback from users. You can use them to study customer satisfaction, conduct polls on how to improve the app experience, or get user feedback on new features to develop. I hope that answers your questions. Okay, if there are no further questions, I thank you everyone for your time and attention today. I hope that has been valuable and there's a couple of things that you got out of the session. Thank you everyone for attending. I wish you a pleasant morning.